Get that off
I'm
your
not
nipple.
grooming.
This is I do not
Whoa!
I do not
Whoa!
consent to this.
Yes, I am topless, putting clips on my nipples while we're doing this. Thank you, Charles, for painting that visual image for everybody.
Thank you for admitting it to everyone. Please
Uh,
stop doing it. Hi there, and welcome to Having Charles Talk Comics Season 2. I am Charles Herring, and I am here with my friend Javier Gonzalez. We are very excited to be talking about Powers and Battle Pope today. Both that Hav pointed out and I pointed out before we started this came out in the year 2000,
in the year 2000.
which was 22 years ago.
God, that's freaky to say out loud. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Hav. Yeah, no, that
How,
that is incredibly freaky too. Just when you're looking at that, because as a kid we were like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be the year 2000 someday, and now we're 22 years past that.
yeah, it doesn't seem. Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, time is weird anyway, right? Especially right now.
Yes, yes. Well, you mean the what we're in year three,
Yeah, it might as well be
the
year
same
10
day? Yeah.
of the COVID Groundhog Day that we have going on.
Yes.
But yeah, hey, we got renewed for a second season.
Yes, we did. You're welcome.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
The powers that be renewed us.
Charles said, "Hey, I'm not done with you. We're doing another season." I was like, "Okay, sure."
Well, that's not exactly how it went, but we'll let you retcon that just for the sake of your ego trying to back
Exactly.
away.
Hmm.
I'm making Hav do this. He
He's
has
got.
a he has a full life outside of this. I don't, so it's important to me that I force my friends to do things they don't like. Wait,
Uh, so, how was the holiday?
it was fine. How was your holiday?
It was good. It
Oh,
was. It
good.
was. It was. It was weird but good.
Yes, weird but good.
Anyways,
Yeah, I mean we've had two holidays since we've recorded one of these podcasts. Actually, if you count New Year's Eve, which I don't because I didn't do anything, we've had three holidays
yeah,
because we
and
had
four if you four
Thanksgiving.
if you count MLK Day.
Oh, well, that is fair. And I had that day off.
Me too.
Five if you count my birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. So you were saying that Powers came out slightly before Battle Pope.
Yeah. So just happenstance. I knew when you suggested Powers that it came out in the early 2000s, and I knew Battle Pope was early 2000s too. But yeah, so Powers came out according to the my expert googling came out in April of 2000, and then Battle Pope came out in June of 2000. And another little tidbit about publication history, because I know that's what people really come to hear about, and I know we're both fascinated by it. Battle Pope started out at a little indie comic book place called Funkotron, and then 5 years later was republished by Image in 2005. But the original publication date, it was black and white when it originally came out, was Funkotron.
Which one?
Battle Pope.
Battle Pope. Yeah, no, I knew it was a black and white kind of indie comic. That was the first, wasn't it the first one that Kirkman really ever did?
I think I think so.
Do
It
you
really
need a minute?
was.
Are you okay?
No, it just I just have this little weird little frog in my throat. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Sorry, you can't see Hav looking like he's about to choke.
It just I got a weird little
A
frog in my
little
throat.
tickle. Okay.
I just it's annoying now, really more than anything.
Okay. Okay.
So there's that, and you suggested I read Powers. I suggested Drew read Battle Pope. I kind of did Battle Pope because the holidays were coming upon us and Christmas, and I thought I had read it back in the mid 2000s. I think when it got published by Image, and I thought, yeah, Battle Pope would be fun to read over the holidays, over Christmas.
I did not read it over Christmas.
Okay.
I read it later than that, but yeah, no, I did enjoy that. So what did we're gonna start with Powers because we try to start with the earliest one, and that one slightly. Although I'm pretty sure Powers has run much longer than Battle Pope, but I didn't check that.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's been a couple. iterate. I mean, a couple series. The total issues I see is like 14 or 16.
What'd you think about Powers?
Good, really good. Slow to get into it. Like the first issue or two, I was just like, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. But then once it picked up, it got really. It was of course a quick read, but the first issue, I was like, okay, what's going on? And of course, I'm always these kind of murder mystery things. I'm always like, okay, who did it? And it takes every ounce of my willpower not to flip to the end.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh man, you're
yeah,
sad.
and I didn't. I did not, and I'm
I'm
not
proud of
gonna
you.
just spoil it right here.
I think it would be okay if you spoiled this one since the character that did it you didn't know anything about until the very end.
That's true.
I mean, it's not like there was this big hide. You like to the things I get on you about spoiling are the things that are this tease and this big reveal. Oh my God, that's the big reveal. This wasn't a big reveal. This was the end of the mystery that they built up to, and they built their case. They did it really was a procedural cop drama around superheroes. It is a gritty procedural cop drama with
Yeah,
superheroes, one big burly cop and one hot young cop with a belly shirt.
yeah. She. That's her. That's. I think that's all she has in her closet
Yeah,
or
well, I
or
mean,
drawer.
Christian wears the same thing too.
That's true. That's true. And it is so Law and Order. The you're right, procedural when you said that,
Oh
which
yeah,
is good. And I loved Law and Order when it came out.
except it's very noir.
Yes, which is your one of your things, which is cool.
It is definitely one of my things. It does make me happy when things are dark for the reasons they should be dark, not just dark because hey, we should make that comic book we grew up watching dark.
Yeah, yeah. Let's put a filter on it so that everything's gray and depressing.
Yeah. It doesn't really suit this particular character, but what if it's that comic that went around and I think I posted it on the Facebook page. I've got a brilliant idea. What if Superman were an asshole?
Yeah,
Okay. It's been done like 40 million times, including by Snyder. That was my Justice League Snyder Cut rant of the day. The Justice League Snyder Cut rant of the day, brought to you by the Public Library. The Public Library, it's free, yo.
yay! Public library.
Okay, so Powers, we are introduced immediately to Christian Walker, right? That's his name, Christian Walker.
Correct. Detective of I forget the name of the town.
No, that's very funny because it's written right here on the screen where I've got Christian Walker.
What's the name of the town?
Oh no, Christian Walker is written. The name of
Oh,
the town's not important. Don't be
it's not.
silly. It's Chicago. Call it Chicago
Sure.
or New York or
Colleen.
Colleen.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it
call
Colleen?
it Colleen. It's clearly Colleen.
Yeah. No. Anyways, you're right. It doesn't. The town doesn't matter. But yeah. So he's a cop.
It's a big city. He is a cop, big giant strong dude, and he's called to a hostage situation.
Right.
And it's a powered individual. He works for the Powers department of the police department, which handles Powers crimes. So they're specialized in this kind of world. You have to have a specialized police force to handle specialized crimes by these awful people that think they're better than everybody else because they can shoot fire out of their dick.
Right. That's a superhero I want to see for some reason.
Really?
Okay. I don't know. I just said that out loud.
Wow. That was a
I'm gonna go with it.
okay.
But
I
anyways,
don't want to pile on and yes and that.
I
I'm gonna
thought
I'm gonna let you have your little fantasy there quietly.
I thought you were
I'm
gonna
gonna
say out of their eyes,
yeah.
and then you ended with that, and I just still went with it. It just why? Because I thought you were gonna make a dig on Cyclops, of course.
Nah, it's concussive blasts.
Sure. What? Yeah. From another dimension, I don't know. Anyways, so yeah. So and then so he resolves. I mean, there's a little more nitty gritty to that, but he resolves the situation and saves a little girl named Callista.
Yes, he does.
That in
And
appear.
her mom is gone. She's got nowhere to go. So
Yeah.
he has to take her back. And he's trying to find somewhere to go, but it turns out child services has been exploded by another superpower, and so there's nowhere for her to go. So she has to stay with him.
Classic.
And there's the great thing, and he says, "Do you have any questions?" And she looks at him and goes, "What's a clitoris?"
Yeah. Like a couple times throughout.
Well, that becomes a running joke. What's a
Yeah.
clitoris? Because she says that, and he looks at her and he goes, "I don't know." And she says, "No one seems to know what that is."
Yeah.
There's a later scene in the car with his new partner who we'll meet the shirt girl, little girl's in the
Yeah.
back, and she goes, "Have you found out what a clitoris is yet?" And his
She just
partner just loses it, which she would.
yeah. Yeah, and that's Detective Deanna Pilgrim.
Deanna Pilgrim. Yes.
Yeah, because he's well, we can. I mean, at that point in the story, she has been around him enough and has seen him interact with seen him interact with powered individuals, and so she wants to try to find out if he's powered.
Yeah, well, the reason so we're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
So there's a meet cute in the office. I joke because throughout all of this, Deanna and Christian are not a thing. They didn't go that route, not especially in this one. But I don't think, if I remember correctly, and I've read all of these, I don't think they ever were anything other than really close friends.
that's cool.
Yeah, no, it was a nice change from, hey, it's a male and female partner. They got to fuck,
Yeah,
which
they didn't
is
do like a moonlighting
it's
thing
a
or
TV trope cop out, but a lot of other things do that. She's introduced in the office of the captain when he goes in to talk about the little girl. They dump the little girl off at the daycare center in the place, and they get a call to a murder. There's a
yeah,
murder, and it's a murder of Retro Girl. Retro
yeah,
Girl a is one of the premier superheroes in this universe. She is truth, justice, the American way type superhero. She has rescued people. She has superpowers, and she's dead with her throat cut. And on the wall it says "chaotic chick" written behind her, spray
right.
painted behind her, and that's everything. And this story, this first arc of this, is basically them trying to find out who killed her. They
Yeah,
just pure procedural cop show with superheroes.
and really cool the way they laid out the the art in a lot of instances. The bottom running line of TV coverage
Yes.
coupled with what's going on and as they do the procedural investigation was really cool, I thought.
I both like it at times and I don't like it at times. The times I don't like it are the ones where because it is all the exposition is to give you world building is done in that news feed along the bottom, which I really liked. Except then you get sometimes I would flip ahead and read that ahead and then go back and read the other story. The only problem I have with the way they did the art is sometimes on the full page, instead of going left to right across the left page and then left to right across the right page, they would switch it and go straight across and straight across, but there's nothing to tell you when that's going on except the wait a minute, this didn't make, oh crap, they're doing it this way. And throughout this entire run of Powers, they do that. And personally, it's a comic book thing that I'm like, look, I liked it back in the old days when they put a little arrow. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're gonna write across two pages, left to right, that's fine. Show me.
make it clear.
Make it clear so I'm not reading all of this and getting ahead and confusingly ahead and wait. Oh, okay. Maybe it's because I'm dumb. That's fine. I do I do understand that I'm a little slow. Anybody that listens to this podcast knows that. But
I noticed the same thing.
yeah,
I noticed the same thing. I
that
had
I'm
the same
slow. Got it.
no,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Charles doesn't know how to read. No, I know I had the same thing where I would find myself like this didn't make any sense. Oh, wait a second. It's one of those pages and I
Yeah.
had to go back and like okay, now it makes sense when
The,
I read across the
literally
splash
my
page.
only negative in this at all, because everything about it is brilliant, and it's just this little one thing, and it's just because it kept pulling me off sides a little bit, going, dang it,
So
I'm confused.
speaking of it being brought, it was pretty darn good. It was brought to us by the great writer Brian Michael Bendis,
Hmm.
and I think the equally great and very distinctive art of Michael Avon Oming. Is that how you
Yes,
say it? Oming?
sure.
Okay. Yeah, a pretty distinctive art style on top of now Bendis is, of course, this is again 22 years ago.
Yeah.
One of his first things?
Well,
I
he
didn't look him
I
up.
I don't believe so, because he started
No, you're right.
writing he was doing this when he was writing the new Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, wow.
Ultimate Spider-Man came out in around 2000.
You're right. I'm
Yeah.
looking.
No, this was just his thing. He's done a lot of crime type comics. He likes that He writes the
Okay.
noir stuff. Obviously Jessica Jones. He's got some other things that I haven't read.
Yeah, he's got some indie stuff that goes back to the early '90s that
Yeah,
I've
no,
never heard of.
he's been writing for a
Yeah.
while.
No, but it was really cool. I know that there's been a like damage control for Marvel, and I know DC had some stuff like that where hey, what do the regular folks do when heroes run amok
Yeah, they've got
against
a
villains?
Gotham Central is
Yeah,
something
there you go.
that they did in DC, which is it's pretty fun because it's just the cops trying to deal with Batman and his shenanigans.
All those crazies.
No, so they're looking for who killed her,
Yeah,
and we're going through all the procedural stuff. They go to the morgue, not the morgue, yeah, the morgue, the medical
yeah,
examiner, and the medical examiner is pointing out that how the fuck do you want me to do anything with this because I cannot do an autopsy.
yeah. She's
She's
essentially
indestructible.
she can fly. She's apparently bulletproof and super strong.
She's Superwoman
Yeah. Uh,
in a lot of ways.
but I did think about this. They mentioned that they have the drainer in
Why
the
didn't they have one
police.
in the morgue?
Right.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I was
don't.
wondering.
I was
You know?
thinking that just now, probably because it makes a much better thing right there
Yeah.
to maybe. Okay, I'm gonna no prize this. The drainer is all in the minds of the superheroes.
Just
It's because they believe it works, it does, but when they're dead, they can't believe it works, so it doesn't.
boom.
Yeah. Although that's obviously not true. Maybe it doesn't work on dead flesh because it affects their mind and drains their powers.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, but
I
yeah, that
too
was
no
an
prized it.
interesting. There you go. You get two no prizes.
Yay!
So, and they interview and go to all sorts of people, and I'm sure maybe later issues you get to see more of these folks.
That was just one of the great things that Hav sent me yesterday. He sent me some screenshots that he had taken, and unlike normally when we're both reading on like Hoopla or Marvel Unlimited, we were both reading this hard copies because it does not exist in anything streaming for
Which
free.
is shocking.
I'm sure it streams. I'm sure not streams. I'm sure there's digital of this, but you're gonna have to buy it.
Yeah,
And I did not wish to buy it. I got mine from the library. Hav happened to own the original graphic novel that he had never read.
yeah. And I'd had it on. I knew it was good. Brian Michael Bendis. I read a run of his on Avengers before. No, yeah,
Yeah.
Avengers. Yeah,
So what I was saying about the screenshots, Hav sent me a set of 6 screenshots, and then I sent him the same ones with a few others added back going, oh my God, here, this is what I did.
yeah. We took
Because we
a
were
lot of the
both like,
same.
yes, they get to the point where they're 2 full-page spreads, and
Yeah,
it has little boxes across each one, and it is the first set was them talking to superheroes, and it's just these little. Just each one is I don't know anything. You should find them. I don't know anything. Blah blah blah. One after the other, after the other, after the other. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wish I
yeah,
did. I can't think of anybody, etc., etc., etc. My favorite that I took individually that he has just in the spread was it's a picture of a wall with a bubble that says, "No, hey, how'd you find me?"
yeah.
It's clearly an invisible superhero. That one cracked me up for no reason. And then they go, "Well, okay, we've done this. Why are we asking superheroes? Shouldn't we be asking
The bad
the
guys.
bad guys?" So then there's a whole nother one with all these bad guys. And I mean, they did. They came up with a lot of them. 32 of each based
Yeah,
on real quick numbers. So 64 altogether powered individuals, both good and bad. Hob was pointing out that, and I told him we'd get to it. So they've talked to this. One of the first things that happens is Walker is told that there's somebody up on the roof that wants to talk to him, and when he goes up there, it's a superpowered individual named Zora.
yes,
And Deanna Pilgrim watches this, and Zora drops many, many hints that she and Christian are friends. They know each other, including when she says, "We haven't talked in a while, and even though that thing is, you can still call me, we can just talk,"
yeah,
and goes off. Later, pretty much every bigger interaction with a superpowered person, and even the criminals, there's these hints of something going on. And I'm going to let Hav say it because I know he's, from the very beginning, he's wanted to. So, Hav, why are they dropping these hints?
You sure?
I'm positive. It's
Oh,
glaringly obvious from the very beginning. So you're
yeah,
fine.
because yeah, no, because he
It
used to be Diamond.
yes, it's glaringly obvious, including at one point before they've mentioned it, one of the people, there's a shadow that falls across his face. Did you see that thing? I think it's when he's talking to the crime boss. A shadow goes across his lower half of his face like Diamond's mask, and he goes, and the crime boss goes, "There you are."
Oh, I didn't pick that up. I'll
Yeah,
have to go back and look.
I.
Uh,
They're also that they finally say they need to go talk to the crime boss because always had a thing with her because it blew up his whole thing. There was evidently this big battle with Wolf, who is in prison, who will come back and was a major player in the Powers TV show they did on the Sony PlayStation
never saw.
app. I actually enjoyed it because I'd read the stuff and I enjoyed it. They took a lot of liberties, like you will with the TV show. I would have liked to have seen it on something with that was A, going to last, and B, had maybe a little more production value because Sony was doing that stuff kind of on the cheap.
Gotcha.
So they went along and they said, we need to go talk to him. So they go to talk to him at his bar.
To Johnny Royale.
Johnny Royale, thank you. I was blanking on
Yeah,
his name. So they go to
yeah.
Johnny Royale's bar where he's there, and Deanna beats the crap out of some of his henchmen.
These two triplets. I mean, these three triplets,
Uh-huh.
right? That
Yeah.
do they have powers? Are they
Yes,
just
they do, and I
psychic?
can't remember what they are. I
Okay.
swear they're multiple men.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, they're multiple men, so there can be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So while that's going on, they're like, why don't you ask the guy that's already questioned him after
Yeah.
she beats the crap out of him? And it turns out another cop who, if I get this correct, used to be Christian's partner, and that's why Deanna's his partner because he didn't want to partner with him anymore.
Cutter.
Cutter, yeah, chin pubes, as Deanna immediately calls him,
Uh-huh.
because he's clearly a douchebag. He has arrested or taken him in for questioning. One of the things I saw, and I took a picture of this, is as they're pulling him in and they're perp walking him past the thing. He turns to the camera and says, "I'm a patsy," which I liked, and I'm gonna bring that back later so you can remind me when he
Okay.
said that. And it's something I noticed this time, and I've read this. I think this is the third time I've read this, but it's like, oh my gosh! Once I got to the end, because that's what Oswald said.
Yeah.
So they bring him in, and he's questioning him, and he's just evidently there's a giant lawsuit going on with the police department too, and he's like, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe that. And then the chief finds out he's done this because Deanna and
Christian.
Christian come back and say, "Hey, what the fuck? This is our case. You're meddling in our case. You can't do this." And they throw him out, and the chief is apologizing, but Deanna and them and Christian talk to him a little bit, and that's where you get the, "Oh, I see you now," i.e. he knows he was a superhero. And they get no information out of him, but it doesn't really seem like he did it.
Right. It was too obvious too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And they turned the drainer off.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
chief or the captain says turn off the drainer,
uh-huh.
and then correct me if I'm wrong. Johnny Royale teleports away.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's his superpower.
that's his thing. Okay, that's his superpower.
Yeah.
So he instantaneously, and then Deanna confronts Christian, is what I was getting to earlier, and she's like, "Come on, dude," and she decides to go the whole route of, "I'm gonna try to beat you up."
Uh-huh.
So she just kind of sucker punches him with like a roundhouse kick to the
Yeah, just
solar plexus.
right into the midsection.
Yeah, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then then they're having this moment, and he's, I think he shares, and then he's like, "By the way, you owe me." And that's when he gets her to help put Callista to sleep, to bed,
Yes.
that night, and that's when Callista is like, "Hey, did you ever figure out what a clitoris is?" Or, that's when the question happens when they're
Yes.
on the way back to his place.
Yes.
Yeah, so they jump through all the hoops, and eventually the poor MD coroner doctor gives a great little soliloquy about the substance he has extricated from beneath her fingernails,
Yes.
and just to say it's red paint.
Yes. It's just
I
red
mean,
paint.
and so they go to Trip Hammer.
Yeah. Iron Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're Iron Man,
It's an
who's
Iron Man type character. He makes
yeah,
his own tech. He's not got superpowers himself. He's a tech superhero.
and pretty crass in his, that's being nice, his relationship with Retro Girl.
Yeah, he a dick.
Yeah, he's
So
a,
he really is a Tony Stark analog.
yeah,
Because
because him and Retro Girl used to be intimate, and I'm
yes,
putting it a lot nicer than he
yes,
did.
he said bumped uglies. He said
Yeah,
he said she was a lousy lay.
but still felt bad that she was dead,
Yeah,
and
still,
they had
but just
just
she was just because she was a lousy lay didn't mean she wasn't an amazing person.
right.
Which I mean is true. We should not be judged on our sexual prowess. Hav, it's okay. Are you trimming your fingernails?
No, I'm just playing with this clip thing. I don't
Okay,
know.
I figured it was a clip, but I'm like, what, dude?
I don't know.
Stop
I'm
grooming.
fidgeting. I'm
Get that
fidgeting.
off your
I'm not
nipple.
grooming.
This is
Whoa,
I do not
whoa.
consent to this.
Yes, I am topless, putting clips on my nipples while we're doing this. Thank you, Charles, for painting that visual image for everybody.
Thank you for admitting it to everyone. Please
Uh,
stop doing it.
Let
I
me
mean,
put my shirt.
not like in your life, just on screen with me while we're doing a podcast.
I'll put my shirt back on.
You don't even have to put your shirt back on.
Ooh, so you
Stop.
like that,
Hey,
don't
I'm
you?
not judging that. I just don't want to participate in your nipple play.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyways.
And you wonder why I put an explicit rating on our podcast.
Oh my gosh. And so yeah, he's a dick. Trip Hammer's a dick.
Yes.
And there was something else about that interaction. But oh, I know what I was going to say. So it was interesting in this superhero universe, as opposed to like DC and Marvel, which have been around forever, but where Clark and Bruce call each other Clark and Bruce,
Mhm.
and it's Tony and Steve, and not Captain America and Iron Man. In this universe, what Christian pointed out when he's revealing his former life as a super, they don't know each other. He
Yeah.
knew all the supers didn't hang out in a clubhouse and go to family picnics and celebrate birthdays together in their secret civilian lives. He knew her first name, Retro Girls, and I forget. I didn't write that down for some reason.
Janice.
Janice.
Oh
There
my
you
God,
go.
I got a name. I think that's got to be right
I think you
because
are right.
it popped right into
He
my head.
but didn't know her last name. Didn't know anything, but didn't know. I mean, maybe Trip Hammer is just a public figure.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Well, when they were asking, he got all pissy when they asked if he killed her, or were implying that he says, "I have a Presidential Medal of Freedom, and do
yeah,
you? And I'm this wonderful." It's like, yeah, but you also knew her and were having sex with her, and it ended. Well, I ended it. Okay, sure. A lot of guys, a lot of old crusty looking violent guys say that about a beautiful woman, that they ended it. Did you? Because the question was, didn't Deanna ask, did you end it by killing her?
yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, which is the I ended it. Yeah, she's dead. It's clearly ended. But no, he just because you're an asshole doesn't mean you murdered a superhero.
And that's after they interview all the, that huge double page spread of interviewing all the heroes and then interviewing Trip Hammer. That's when Deanna's like, should we talk to some bad guys?
Yes. Yeah,
Uh,
maybe people that could have killed her.
oh,
So
and real fast on the spread of the supers that they interviewed. So we got introduced to Zora on the rooftop right away. There's a Savage Dragon shot. There's a Madman shot. There's somebody that sure looks to me like the Aquaman from back then.
mhm.
The Shadowhawk, I think is his name. Somebody that I feel like is from the Invincible universe. Somebody that looked like Scarecrow to me from DC, but maybe he's
Yes.
not.
Oh, very much looked like Scarecrow. No, he could have. I mean,
And then the iZombie girl,
what?
the iZombie
Oh, really? Okay.
girl in the bottom right,
Uh huh.
kind of looked like her to me, but I never read it.
I didn't
But
know
yeah,
that was a comic book.
I think it was I think it was.
Okay,
I
I
think it
believe
was.
you.
So yeah, I thought that was cool. Just worth mentioning, I guess.
Hmm.
And then they go interview all the bads, and again, no joy, no big revelations. But how do they get the tip about the chat room, Charles? Do you remember that?
They were at a loss.
That's right. Go
They
ahead.
they
Yeah.
knew they couldn't find it. I mean, they had no evidence other than a little bit of paint. They talked to everybody. They were getting nothing. One of the things that happened was when he was putting the little girl to bed, she was talking about the dream, and she was talking about chaotic chick,
Right.
and she wanted to know what that meant. And he said that Christian goes, "Wait, that sounds familiar," and he realized that was written on the wall. And then they decided it was important that they lead that they find out about that. They were talking to a someone, a bad guy, and he has a photographic memory, and they were asking him about that, and he says, "Well, all right, it's written all over. I've seen it 19 times." Well, they're like,
Yeah,
"What is
that's
it?"
right.
He's like, "It's just written on the wall. There's like 19 places where I've seen it." "Oh, where are they?" And he just starts rattling them off. And Deanna's like, "What?" He's like, "Okay, I'll write it down. I know your brains don't work the way mine does." So they've got these 19 places. They had nothing. They're like, "Okay, so the chaotic chick is written all over the place. Let's find something out." And they say, "Well, we're going to have to do something we don't ever want to do." And they go to the press and they put up a number and people call.
Which is a telltale sign that the cops are at a dead end
If they're at a dead end, they're at a dead end when they reach out to the public. Yes. So
because they're
they
going to get all sorts of crazy calls.
that's
Yeah.
right. And fortunately, they didn't go through that because they're trying to. At this point, they're trying to get some movement on this because we've gone through the there is no movement. We've got some ideas, and then they get the next step. While we're reading this, they were talking about all they're doing. They're doing retrospectives on Retro Girl and talking about superheroes. All of this exposition, one of which was a person talking about Retro Girl and how she's named Retro. The name Retro Girl alludes to all of this old timey things. And there's a guy with a theory that Retro Girl has always been around.
There's always been
There's
a
been
retro girl or
always
some
been not
something.
named Retro Girl, but like her. And he pulls up Cleopatra and he pulls up Joan of Arc, and there is always someone else. And when society tires of them and gets rid of them, there will always be another one, which I liked because as we go on, there's a giveaway Hav hasn't even alluded to, which is the little girl that has appeared in his life.
Yeah.
So they're going along with this. They find a tip about a chat room. It's a group of guys that don't like superheroes. They don't like what goes on. And the chaotic chick is what they write every time they see a superhero do something. They write chaotic chick in that location. And it turns out the guy that contacted was in the chat room and they know someone. And his name is.
Something really nondescript. I didn't even
Oh,
write it
yeah.
down.
Well,
Something Stevens, maybe?
it's John Jackson Stevens.
There you go.
And he said this guy was just nuts. I mean, we don't like him, but man, he was. We had to throw him out of the group. He was going crazy. He was trying to build drainers himself, and they break into his place and they find just all sorts of stuff. And I forget.
They find the like the pegboard with the
Oh,
photos and
yeah,
retro girls marked out and
yes,
like all the string might as well have been between all
yeah.
these different things and stuff.
He is. This is a classic stalker. I love you. I can't have you. No one can have you.
Yeah,
Thing.
and I sent you though that screenshot because it's a really good two-page spread, splash page, if you will, of no words, just them storming his house and finding everything, which I thought was pretty well done and cool. So yeah, and they found his lair essentially or master plan lair room where his crazy is just there for everybody to see. And then he goes into speaking of him, if I can't have you, nobody will. They're interviewing him, and they pick up pretty quickly that this guy has a problem with female authority.
Oh yeah.
So Deanna kind of takes the lead, and then of course he can't help himself,
Oh
and
yeah. He
that's when he
has to.
goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he'd asked for a lawyer, and she was like, "Oh, we can make him talk." And he confesses. Well, they pulled out the fact that he had fake naked pictures of her. That it was, as they said, the pages were stuck together. It was graphic,
yeah,
not wordly graphic. They didn't
yes.
show that, but they definitely were alluding to what was going on. And he just does the classic loses it. Yes, I just with her, hates her, loves
Hate
her.
hates her, loves her. We don't deserve her.
Uh huh.
You don't. I did everybody a. He goes into this whole thing. I did everybody a favor. Would you want to see Elvis or Jim
Oh
Morrison or
yes,
Janis Joplin as a lounge singer in Vegas in their 50s, 60s, 70s?
yes,
No, we remember them and James Dean and Marilyn Monroe because they're dead and they died in their prime.
yeah. She would become a joke, and I couldn't have that kind
And
of
I
thing.
and you're welcome,
Yes.
world, that I did this for y'all.
Yeah.
Which is just really it was kind of unnerving and chilling and because in his mind he did what needed to be done. So he crazy.
Yes. Yeah. No, he was
Um,
crazy. So
so good.
Well, so he confesses, and they have him. They're going to take care of him, and then Trip Hammer enters the chat. Trip Hammer bursts
In full armor.
in full armor and kills him.
He's like, "Yep, we're not
He
gonna have. He's not getting his day in the sunshine and the light and getting to spout his crazy.
and
He disintegrates him.
and then I'm going to loop it. Oswald.
Yeah, you're right.
Earlier, I'm not a patsy when I'm a patsy with Johnny Royale. Then we get this, and then we get somebody executing the killer. I
Yeah,
I was like,
it
oh my
was.
gosh, that was a. Did you see that when you read it? Because it took
Oh
me
no, I
three
thought
times.
about it.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought
Well,
about it. I did think
yeah,
about it because the yeah, he was the Jack Ruby.
yeah,
Trip Hammer was the Jack Ruby to just say nope, gonna be judge, jury, and executioner on this one,
yeah,
and you'll never find me again. As opposed to Jack Ruby, who did get arrested.
yes.
Uh, Trip Hammer apparently just
Well, he
flees the
said, yeah,
country.
you're never going to see me again, and
Yeah,
you can't stop me. I'm a superhero,
yeah.
and and just disappeared.
And then at
So
the end, Callista. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to talk about that. Callista, the little girl, tells him, so it's over. You caught him, right? And then goes on to explain to her that Retro Girl talked to her
In a dream.
in a dream and said there's always a Retro Girl. And it was good that she took care of that and that she had told Walker this before, that there's always a Retro Girl. But she told him to forget and that was okay that he didn't remember, but there would always be a Retro Girl because Callista's going to be the new Retro Girl.
Okay,
She's going to they're building an arc for her as well, this little girl throughout it, and it's great, and they put her through some hell, and Deanna Pilgrim through some hell, and quite bluntly, Christian Walker through some hell because Bendis is mean. I love
yeah,
Bendis.
well, because the
No, I
superhero, the book wouldn't be too much fun if there was just like
no,
you
I
know,
know, I no, I know,
I know, yeah.
I kid. So
Hey,
go ahead.
real
Oh man,
fast. I'm
hold
gonna
on. Okay,
fast
real
forward to the
fast.
very, very end when there's a memorial and there's go ahead,
No,
superheroes flying through the moon, across the moon. Or is
uh
that
huh.
anybody I'm supposed to know, or is just like, hey, the supers are
It's
still around?
it's an homage. Supers or yeah.
Okay,
I think
okay, go
that's
ahead.
all that is. Things you find out that she told Walker to forget. Walker later on in this, you find out Walker has been alive since the dawn of time,
Huh?
and he's had superpowers. The he was he has been a ruler, he has been a conqueror, he's been Conan the Barbarian, he's been I mean just but because he lives so long, you can only remember so much, so he forgets all of this. So he keeps moving on and kind of reinventing himself over and over and over again.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then he loses his. He talked about it. He lost his powers during that big fight, and they never go into it. And as he says to Deanna when he's explaining this, he says, I mean, I'm still strong, but I don't know if that's just because I'm a big guy, because he
Yeah.
is. I mean, he's a huge, basically superhero looking slab of Superman beef. So,
Well, and that makes me think of there in the very early part of Netflix.
uh huh.
It maybe there was a movie that was one of the first streaming movie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. You moved it all the way down.
oh,
Now it's
sorry,
all the
sorry,
way.
sorry, sorry.
I don't know because you said no. I'm gonna leave it alone, but now you're fucking around with it. And you're like,
Yeah, I'm just
I know,
fidgety.
I
No,
know.
so no. Speaking of you telling me about Walker's arc,
Uh huh.
there was a movie called Man from Earth from the mid 2000s where it's a guy that's been alive since the like prehistoric times,
Okay.
and that you made me think of that. Interesting because it's a professor having a goodbye party, and he reveals to all his friends that he was Moses and
Hmm.
Jesus and all these significant, of course, significant people, and sometimes not significant people in history. And he's lived through all this crap. And I forget the origin, but that made me think of that. Anyways,
Okay. Yeah. No. It's a. I've really enjoyed reading Powers over the years, and I say over the years because I read it a number of years ago, and then the reason I've read most of it is that these giant thick volumes they have at the public library. The public library. It's free, yo.
but not on Hoopla,
Yeah. Well, that's
which
okay.
is I feel like it's a pretty big. I'd heard of it. Obviously, I'd heard good things about it, so I bought the trade in like a discount bin years
Hmm.
ago for like nothing.
The thing you're looking at though is it's a rights thing. He owns this, so he doesn't want to put it out there like that because he can sell it. And it's like they just came out with this Jinx World, his when he went back to DC, they I think they gave him a label because he went to DC after he left Marvel, and these released in these big thick Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and then
Yeah.
they so he's doing stuff through DC, but he owns the rights to everything about this. So it's
Yeah.
just a matter. Honestly, it's probably a way for him to keep it within himself.
Yeah.
You make it's a business decision. You can't judge anybody for what they're doing.
No, no, I'm not. No,
Uh,
and kind of like when Jim Lee went over there to DC and took his image stuff with him.
yeah,
No, it was. Hey, it was good, and you definitely between this and Stumptown and Alias, not in a bad way. You like the crime noir,
you
dark, gritty detective stuff, which is cool.
you have no idea how many detective stories I have read. It's one of the things I enjoy. I told you well when we did Stumptown, and
Yeah,
I was telling you who a bunch of those detectives were because the ones you didn't know. I'm like, oh, that's
yeah,
Elvis Cole. It's the Elvis Cole. Who the hell is Elvis?
I
Okay,
did.
don't
Yeah,
worry about it. Yeah, and a number of them. That's including, by the way, you were talking about Archie something. I can't remember his name, and you're like, yeah, that was the writer, and it was Nero Wolfe had a character that was the investigator.
okay,
So
nice.
and it could be a double one, comics and what have you, but there's I read a lot of that. So when they do it in comic form, if it's done well, I like it as well because comics are awesome.
Yeah, and this was a good one. This is
Okay.
a very cool one. Anything else that you wanted to maybe jump on or talk about in particular? Because it was good.
No, I think that's about it.
I am a little disappointed that it's not on. I don't know that I'm going to go buy them, or I can get the hard copies from the library, obviously,
There you go.
because they do that still, Charles. They
Yes.
have the physical brick
I
and mortar
I'm
public libraries still.
I'm well aware of that. I have volume 1 that I've had since because they renew it automatically and it just renewed again today. And I never got around to reading it. I caught it before I suggested it because that was the one I was going to suggest. So I pulled it out of the library, thinking I was going to read it and then hand it to you. But it just keeps renewing because nobody's requested it, or if they have, there's another copy that they can get. So they haven't made me return it. So
Well, and then speaking of the public library and Hoopla Online, I was kind of shocked that Battle Pope was available online. I don't know why. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if it wasn't available through Hoopla.
okay.
I don't know.
No,
Maybe it's me
it
being a
wouldn't have
prude or something.
no, it wouldn't have surprised me necessarily. But Kirkman's a hot property.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, he did do the one of the greatest indie comics of all time, and that, of course, is what we're about to talk about. Battle Pup. No, Invincible. Absolutely, just brilliant. We haven't read that, have we? We
No,
need to
we
read
have.
that.
You've
We
you've
we
you've
should
talked
read.
about it,
Yeah,
and
you've
and
read it too, though.
I've read a lot of it. I
Yeah,
didn't finish. I didn't read the whole thing, but I read the first few volumes
yeah.
of it, and it's you were the first one. And this is good. This is what happens when you don't talk to somebody about superhero comic books or comic books in general. My little pea brain did not put together until you said, "Hey, it's Spider-Man and Superman mashed up together."
Well, that was because I read about Kirkman. He said, I mean, that is, I don't know, I don't remember if I had thought that, although I probably thought a little bit about it because there's some Peter Parker crap going on there.
Oh yeah,
But that was really kind of the intent. All right, let's take the two most successful comic book characters of all time and put them together.
yeah. From the big two,
Yeah. Well, yes, the two most successful. I mean, you can't compare any. I know you. Everybody wants to say Batman, but Superman started everything,
right?
and then Spider-Man changed everything.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Spider-Man was the poster boy for Marvel.
hmm
I have a soft place in my heart for Fantastic Four because I really liked that back in the '80s when I
yeah,
started reading it. And it was, I think Fantastic Four was the first Marvel superhero thing, but then Spider-Man came and changed everything,
it did.
as they say. And so Kirkman would go on to do Invincible, and I'm looking at it right now in '03. But before that, in the year 2000, did Battle Pope. And I'll take a run at giving a brief synopsis on this, if you don't mind.
Oh, I just want to say I realized why you did it. Your former altar boy self, right? You were an altar boy, correct?
We were a progressive Catholic
Okay,
church. We
that's
called
fine.
ourselves altar servers
Okay, well,
because
okay,
there were girl altar
um,
servers.
I think one of Haas' fetishes is he wants to see the Pope fuck, and that's why he suggested this.
Well, at least this Pope isn't diddling boys, or it's not about
Oh
that
yeah, no, no,
stuff.
no. That's fair. Sorry, that was
It's
unfair.
consensual.
Yeah, Hav has
Uh,
a Pope fucking fetish.
I did to the point. Hey, I'll go there or talk about this. When all the stuff came out about the Catholic Church and the cover-ups in America and other places in the United States, them moving priests from parish to parish and
Mm-hmm.
not revealing to the parish and the public that these guys were freaking
Oh
pedophiles
Jesus.
and all that came out. My experience, let me just say this too. My experience, I looked up to priests. I never had a bad experience. To the point where, quite frankly, until I kind of hit puberty, I was thinking I might want to be a priest. I was into it. It was
Mm-hmm.
very comforting and it was a safe place. So that fast forward when all this shit comes out
Yeah.
about what the church, and I mean the church, from
Mm-hmm.
high on holy high, John Paul II and all that apparently covering it up, it pissed me the fuck off.
I
I
bet.
was so, talk about these poor kids. I mean, I get it. The priest is the conduit to freaking God, essentially, and what they say goes
Yeah.
in that little insular world, to the point where, yeah, I was so, to this day, I mean, it still hacks me off and is unsettling and disturbing, and I don't think enough has been done about it really to this day. I was going to say, to the point where, I got so upset. Julie was like, did something happen? I was like, no, nothing happened to me. It's just, I get it. It's so,
It's a massive betrayal, and you would have,
yes.
yes, to think of the men that you looked up to, if they had betrayed you like that, that's you're like,
Yeah, those poor
yeah,
kids,
yeah,
these poor people
I
that,
got you.
and then live with it, and then I mean, there's enough shaming, there's enough taught about being shameful of sex and your body, and then to have that on top. I mean, anyways, so yeah, so seeing the Pope in this, just being a fucking just crass son of a bitch that, again, I mean, consensually, but just apparently having sex with anything that'll move,
Yeah, clearly
drinking, boozing,
smoking
uh,
cigars.
smoking cigars, and he gets to be Pope, and then when he is in charge, the rapture happens. All the good people are taken up to heaven, and him and the rest of the Cretans. Guess what? He doesn't make the cut, and now you're left in this literal hellscape, dystopian future.
It wasn't as bad a dystopian feature as some of the stuff we've read.
That's true. That's
I
true.
mean, legitimately, the rapture did not cause as many problems as all the men dying.
Yeah, that's true. And so,
I,
the Pope is,
I'm going to, I am just going to pound on that forever, evidently. I can't believe I'm still bringing this up. And like I said, I really, really enjoyed Why the Last Man, but seriously,
yeah, that's pretty damn sexist.
it's that
Wait,
unintentional bias.
yeah. And you pointed it out before. Yeah, I didn't think it, but when you pointed it out, it was kind of like one of those duh moments.
When it slapped me in the face the second time I read the first, I had inklings as I read it the first time, and I'm like, I'm just enjoying this too much. But man, when I reread it for the podcast, I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah. So yeah, so this like I said, post rapture world, the Pope is just left to his own devices until God says, "Hey, I need your help. They got Saint Michael, and I need you to save him before they take his halo and Lucifer gets his powers." And here's my son Jesus to be your sidekick and help you out.
The whole
And then hijinks ensue.
Yeah, hijinks do ensue because they have kidnapped. Well, he says, "Look, you do this, you get into heaven, and you ain't getting
That's
into
right.
heaven." Yeah. Eh,
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm not even sure I want to go to heaven. I mean, I like to get laid, and it's probably just a bunch of nuns. Although some nuns are a great lay, and that was one of the lines I was like, yeah, okay. That was when I really thought about your fetishes. I'm
Yeah.
like, I see why Hobbs reading this.
Uh,
So that's when Jesus says, "Oh no, there's a lot of supermodels and actresses in heaven." Got in before God realized Saint Peter was taking sexual
bribes.
bribes to let him in.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Uh,
Jesus.
uh-huh.
So the thing is, they have to go rescue from Lucifer, and there's just some funny stuff going on the whole. Every time he's like, well, we have to find them, the Pope. We have to find where they're keeping him and where Lucifer is. And Jesus is like, no, I know where he is. No, we have to get up high and we have to find. Jesus is like, hey, I know where Lucifer is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he completely ignores him. Earlier, when we're first meeting him, he's at a bar, and these demons are about to rape a woman or
Yeah.
kill her and eat her. I don't know what demons do to women. And he saves her. And during them saving her, he cuts off the arm of this giant, red, nasty-looking demon who is really mad at him because he makes fun of his small penis.
Right.
And
Pencil dick, I think, is
pencil,
what
he calls him
is.
pencil dick. Yeah, so he cuts off his arm. And the reason we get that is he then takes the woman back to, the woman just immediately attacks him sexually, and they go back to his place, and
They have the sex.
they have the sex, and they're there when the monster he cut off his arm comes back and breaks in, kills the woman, and then kills him.
That's okay. You're
And
right. Right.
that's when he meets God, and God brings him back to life and sends him down to do
Correct.
this.
And gives him
Oh,
essentially augmented
oh
strength
yeah,
and
he's
superpower,
now
and
he's
he's
now he is now superhero. He got Shazammed by God.
there. You go. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
And the sidekick he is given again
is Jesus.
is Jesus, and Jesus is a hippie looking
Jesus,
Hawaiian shirt, flip flop wearing, just kind of picking his nose. Not the brightest bulb in the house.
yeah,
I get it just kind of goes along to get along, and I sent you that screenshot where I mean, there's so many things in this that Catholic boy me would have been just appalled by when Jesus is on the crucifix and the Pope is like, "Gee, are you all right, Jesus?" And he's like, "Yeah, you get used to it." Uh,
yes, that cracked me up.
it's kind of like a hot shower.
Yeah, it
It hurts at first.
just as it goes on, you get used to it as it goes on. That was rather awful.
So the whole excuse for this story, not excuse, but so Lucifer's trying to take Saint Michael's halo to
Yes.
get like super super duper
To,
maybe
to
godlike
Yeah,
powers.
he's going to become powerful enough to defeat God.
Yeah.
And that's because the demons' power is in their horns, the angels' power is in their halo, and if you combine the two, you will have godlike powers. So they develop and they said if you rip it off, if you just rip it off, it kills the angel and it's powerless. If you kill the angel, it becomes powerless. So they had to build a machine to remove that from him. So first arc is them, first part of this is them trying to get to where Lucifer is, and they have to fight the zombie twins.
Yeah.
It's these two zombies, and when they first meet them, they do not have much problem with them, and then they say, "Oh, we're going to do this," and this was one of the things I particularly liked. They did zombie powers activate, form
Yes.
of, and then it was absolutely useless, and they even made fun of it because they were on one leg, wasn't it? They merged their two bodies together, and they're on one leg, and the battle pope says something along the lines of, "You could have at least turned into a helicopter."
Right. This is what you're doing?
This is nothing. And then they destroy them, and then they go to calling up all the dead people into a zombie and doing this big giant zombie person,
Right.
which just giant thing, which was going to win until they eat Jesus. Right? They throw Jesus into the maw of it, and then all of a sudden it explodes from the outside, and that's when I love this. Battle folk goes, "Where the hell did that come from?" Jesus is like, "I am the Son of God."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell?
So why are we struggling here?
Just good lord.
And then I read this a while back and I did not reread it. I kind of flipped through it. But how does the Pope end up in purgatory or hell?
Okay, so they get to where they're going.
Lu- yeah, Lucifer had HQ.
They get to Lucifer's HQ. They fight their way through, lose badly, get drug in before Lucifer. The Pope spits in his face, and then he gets the halo because it works and he gets the halo, and he and the Pope fight, and Lucifer kills him. Actually, no, Lucifer banishes him. He banishes him. There's a
Okay.
boom, and then he ends up in hell. So he's in hell, and he's there for weeks,
Yeah.
months, what seems like forever.
I was gonna say time is no thing there.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. He immediately fucks this disgusting demon creature three
Yeah.
times. It turns out to be a farmer's jailbait daughter, so he's
Yeah.
running away from that. He's appalled at what's going on there. There's just little vignettes of it going around. Some of them are better than others, and then he realizes that then someone that's nailed to a cross that gets eaten every day by a demon who he wants to rescue him. He's like, I'm leaving and I'm taking you with him. And the guy's like, no, I can't abandon this guy. And it's like, okay, whatever, dude. He's like, but I need to go out. He's like, oh, you can go out. There's the closed gate to hell. Nobody's used it since they locked it, but you have to deal with Cerberus, who's guarding it from this side. And he's like, no problem. And then the next scene after he does that, you see him kick open the doors to hell, and in the background you see Cerberus, who instead of having four legs the way a dog, three-headed, because Cerberus is a three-headed dog,
Yeah.
and instead he's on two legs, but he's crouched over like he got kicked in the nuts. So it's clearly the Pope kicked him in the nuts and then kicked open the door, the
And just
gates
ran
to
by.
hell, and went out. And he's like, okay, I've been gone for months. Now I have to see what I can do. And then God appears again and goes, oh, no, it's been like 17 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You've been gone
the
for.
time works different. It's 17 seconds. So then he gives the Battle Pope a halo to
Yeah.
even the score and sends him back into the fray.
And
So,
then Lucifer. There's a really fun. You sent me the screenshot of Lucifer in the bathtub.
oh yeah, that was prior to him getting the halo. That
Yeah.
cracked me up.
He's just playing with his little rubber ducky.
He's telling it he loves it. Wasn't
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I love you, rubber ducky,
I love you, rubber ducky.
or
I
something like that. One of the byproducts of Lucifer getting the halo is he's becoming like dumb and really, really strong.
Yeah, as they're fighting, he keeps getting bigger and dumber. He's totally hulking out.
Yeah.
He's getting dumber and stronger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're fighting, and then he just explodes
Yeah.
and it's over. And it turns out, because Saint Michael explains it, that was always going to happen because the heart, when they got cast out of heaven, they lost their heart, and the heart is what channels the power of the halo. And without a heart, the power just overcame him originally, and it was going to always happen. That was the
Right.
thing. That was what pissed off the Battle Pope. He was like, "Well, what the fuck?" He was always gonna. It wouldn't have mattered, and I did this, and nothing. And the point God made was, no, you stopped him from doing a bunch of horrible things before it happened. So that's a good thing. And plus, it would have just worked a whole lot better if you'd gotten him before, if you'd taken care of this before he got the halo.
Yeah. By the way.
So this is the opening arc of the thing, and it ends with God saying, "Okay, now do you want your reward? You want to go to heaven?" And Battle Pope says, "No, not yet. I want my reward, but I want to stay here for now and help all these people left behind because I've seen it. I've seen what goes on in hell, and I don't think anybody should have to go there. I can't do anything for them, but I can do things for people here on this earth." And so then we have the beginning of the hero journey, i.e., I'm choosing this, I'm not. I'll stay here knowing I get my reward in heaven. Because boy, he was pissed when he ended up in hell. Oh, fuck you, God! I do
Yeah.
this, and I now I'm in hell. I knew you'd fuck me. I did like when he's talking to Jesus at the beginning after this whole deal was made, and he says, "Is God gonna fuck me?" And Jesus is like, "No, God's good on it. My dad's good on his word on that kind of thing. He's not.
Yeah.
That's that. He can be a dick, but
Yeah. He's not gonna double cross you on
he's
this
not
one.
gonna. That's not his bag. So no, I
Uh.
I enjoyed this. There really wasn't that much to it
No.
in a lot of ways. It was a one note kind of thing, and I might read some more just for the hell of it, but I liked it. I'm glad you suggested it. It was worth reading.
Not a long run actually. As opposed to Robert Kirkman's other stuff, I
Yeah.
was looking at. I think it's only like I looked it up, 14, 16 issues, depending on which whether it's Funkotron original publication
Uh
or
huh.
when it was redone by Image in the mid 2000s. I should say Robert Kirkman, the writer. The artist is Tony Moore. I wanted to mention his
Okay.
name. And speaking of like Powers, I didn't know this until I looked it up. There was 8 animated things done of Battle Pope on Spike TV. Remember Spike TV from the 2000s?
No.
It was like a guy
No,
TV
I know what it
show
was, but I
channel.
never watched it because when they do something that's it's a guy's TV, I'm like, oh my god, the misogyny and stupidity of that channel is going to be so god awful. They're aiming that to a subsection of guys that I don't fall into that often.
Right. Well, and I think
Did that
was that
sound
the
too
channel
judgy?
that was original? No, it's fine. Judge away because I agree. I want to say Spike TV was previously like a. Maybe I'm just completely wrong on this. Never mind.
Okay,
There was a. Anyways, but yeah, I didn't know that they had made animated stuff out of Battle Pope of all things. Uh,
might be fun to watch.
maybe, and as opposed to Robert Kirkman's other stuff, because he had a huge long run, of course, with Walking Dead
Hmm.
and Invincible, and yeah, he's done some other stuff, but those are his two big, heavy hitting
Yeah.
properties that I'm sure have served him well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to season 2 of Invincible on Amazon.
Me too.
I don't know when that's going to come out, but I very much would like to.
He and I remember back in the 2000s, he did a thing I think just called Wolfman.
Okay.
Trying to find it that I liked. It was his take on, the astounding Wolfman. Yeah, that I and it crossed over with. I think it's part of the Invisible universe, maybe. So, anyways, I'm glad you liked it.
Me too.
Uh,
Me too.
uh,
We're starting off well. Two enjoyable comic books.
yeah, and just really, I knew what I was suggesting was way more recent than a lot of the stuff I had recommended from like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
I
it's only 22 years old.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's still 22 years old.
Way more recent. Can't
It,
believe how recent this is.
uh,
You are on the cutting edge of comic books.
barely from this millennium.
Look, I do like what we read here. Just on the you want to talk about a themology type thing. I like
Sure.
this on two real groundbreaking comic book writers in earlier works.
True.
And
Because they
that
both
is
would go on to do
they
more
do
acclaimed.
more acclaimed things. Although Powers is fairly acclaimed.
Yeah.
That's really. But this was one of those. This was when Bendis was really starting to get. Oh my God! Look at this guy because he did this. He was doing the ultimate stuff. He then went into writing. I mean, he wrote Civil. Didn't he do Civil War?
I think so.
Yeah. So Civil War, and he did the New Avengers, and so this was when he was really coming into his power.
Yeah. Realizing he had a thing. He
Yeah,
was good.
yeah. So, but and then Kirkman just he and his buddy, or I don't know if it's his buddy. You kind of got to assume when they're doing a black and white comic together for an indie
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
that's a good start. It's sense of humor and there's some depth to it in its lightheartedness. But yeah, apocalyptically, it wasn't. It was the most mild apocalypse thing we've read.
I think you're probably right. And same artist between Walking Dead
Oh, is it?
and Tony Moore. I just looked it
Oh,
up
cool.
because of the Google. Tony Moore also Battle Pope and but also a black and white comic book, right? When it
What?
first started, Walking Dead.
I know nothing about The Walking Dead except it's about zombies. Therefore, I refuse to engage in any way whatsoever.
You know what? And I watched a little tangent here. I watched the first few seasons of Walking Dead and enjoyed it, but at some point, like season 3 or 4, if that. I'm not spoiling anything for anybody because aren't they in like on season like 29 or something? They end up in prison. That's they're holding up in a prison, and I was just like, you know what? I'm done. Guess what? There's zombies, and they're always going to be. It got to be kind of not procedural. Just it was it was the same thing. I guess it was the same thing over and over again. So I bowed out. I haven't watched like before. What's it? Jeffrey Dean Morgan came into to the picture on that show, playing a big character. I stopped, and I read a few of the comic books when they came out, Walking Dead wise, before it got picked up as a TV show. So there's my tangent on that.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I enjoyed rereading Battle Pope. It was silly and fun as I remembered it, and Powers again good, really cool. And I can't say enough about the artist too on that Powers. By the way, I really dig his. It's a very distinctive style. Like
Yeah, no,
you know
the
him
art
when you
is
see him.
great. The art is great. So, have you put any thought into what to read next?
I have.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you want to tell me?
I do, because otherwise it'd be kind of weird for you to just guess.
I'm just going to read something and say, Hod told me to read this, and boy, you don't want me picking for you because I think some of the stuff you pick is bad. What I'd pick for you would be, you, no. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna go more back to 80s,
Oh,
just
you
because
son of a bitch.
I want to revisit it, and it's on Hoopla. I've already looked. Cosmic Odyssey is what it's called. DC limited series. I think, if I remember right, Jim Starlin wrote it, who of course would go on to or had created Thanos. Do we say Thanos or Thanos? What do you say?
Uh, Thanos.
But this is a thing with what's his face, the analog to the DC Darkseid.
Comic
Uh,
Odyssey, the deluxe edition.
Boom. And then the great Mike Mignola was the artist who would go on to do Hellboy. Is his big,
Oh man, this
huge
is a
thing.
huge team book thing again, isn't it?
It is.
Oh
It
man,
is.
why? All right, well, that pairs well.
It's not. It's
No, you're
not.
good. You're good.
It's
It's fine,
super long.
dude. You're fine. I might like it.
Maybe.
I
I
might like
hope.
it. I might enjoy it. There will be parts of it I like. Okay, so then I'm gonna go completely. This will pair well.
Okay.
Well, because this is completely different. Although it is big too. It's Marvel. Spider Woman issues number 1 through 5 from 2015 to 2017. It is also on Hoopla. Spider hyphen Woman. Spider
Not
Woman.
not girl.
Yeah, Spider Woman.
Spider Woman.
Jessica Drew.
Jessica Drew.
Yeah.
Never read it. Is that who wrote that? I seem to remember this was a big deal when it came out.
This was written by Dennis Hopeless.
Nope. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is a fun arc. Jessica Drew is a private investigator, a superhero, and a mom to be. Since we saw her last, Spider-Woman's got a whole new responsibility. Now she's adventuring for two. She's
Yeah.
pregnant.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
no,
All right.
this is fun. I really enjoyed this. I decided it was between this and something. It was between this and something. I think I'm gonna have us read the next time. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get all woke and do female-led comic series here for a while
Okay.
since we're so male-centric. I say that we've
That,
read I've suggested a lot of female-led stuff.
I was gonna say you did Stumptown, you did Alias, you did the whole, where they, obviously we
Miss
found
Marvel,
out, well, Miss Marvel, but I was gonna say Why the Last
the
Man.
incredibly sexist, all
Yes.
women that the main character in it is a man.
How does electricity work without men? How do we?
Oh my God, penises keep the lights on.
No, cool. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. And, another just little thing we saw together Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie
We
over the
did.
holiday.
We did.
And with Caesar, and we're
Yes.
hoping to get a podcast just to talk about maybe that and a few other
Yeah,
of the
do some Marvel
movies,
movies that have come out, but definitely talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Man,
which everybody knows is
Spider-Man,
Charles's favorite.
Spider-Man.
Uh, and then we also saw Shang-Chi,
Yes. Not together.
not together, and we didn't see together, but we separately saw Eternals.
Yes. Which Hav has
It,
watched like 12 times now.
I watched it twice because that's a commitment. It's a long movie,
It is.
and there's ups and downs, but we'll save that for when we get Caesar on here.
Yeah, I was more
Uh,
right than Hav was about Eternals.
I'm still,
Neither one of us was right.
yeah. I
I
was
was
gonna
more
say
right than you were.
I liked it. You liked it more than me, I think.
I liked parts of it.
Okay. I
I kind of like what they're doing. Yeah, I got some problems with it. And well, I
okay.
have to rewatch it. Maybe. I don't know if I have the 17 hours to do that.
Did you ever watch the Snyder cut of Justice League?
I did.
Okay. So
I
maybe we have a lot to talk about,
I
maybe.
did watch the Snyder cut, and I have opinions. One of
See,
which is it's not that much difference. It's just more.
right.
It's more and there's less humor to it, but we knew there was going to be less humor to it because Joss Whedon's humor wasn't that good because it was built on a chassis of something that wasn't developed for any kind of humor because it's dour and sad and dark and everything is awful all the time and we can only be saved by people that selflessly give of themselves in a way that his Randian philosophy doesn't even. Anyway, there I went down on a. Oh, for fuck's sake. God help me. They need to scrap, and they are kind of scrapping his whole DC universe,
Yeah.
which is they're trying to do. Oh no, we're going to do a multiverse, and they're going to do a multiverse, and they're like that's going to live in its own thing, and DC is like kind of like not just saying, yeah, that's true. It's its own universe. Yeah, and Snyder can make movies in it. And DC is like, yeah, no.
Sure he can.
Yeah, no.
It's
No,
like
no, no.
they're just petting them by the river.
Yeah.
They're saying, sure, no, he's gonna,
Yeah. And
you're
by the
gonna
way,
stay here.
that was not his vision. That was not what he was making when they pulled it away from him and gave it to Whedon. Whedon is garbage. Snyder is garbage. They're both garbage.
Yeah,
Sir.
all this stuff that's come out about
Oh,
Whedon.
fuck. Oh, Jesus, Whedon.
Yeah, and then I mean that's a separate conversation too, maybe
Yes.
when we do the reviews, because I'm always conflicted about, like, I like Serenity and I like
Oh, I
Firefly,
do too. Oh, God, I love it. But,
and I like to watch. We've talked about this. I liked Watchmen that Snyder did because that was dark and gritty, and
yeah,
guess what? Perfect for right in his
I
wheelhouse.
had no problem with that. But I'm just talking about what he's done with these other Marvel movies.
Yeah,
That's
uh,
literally when I'm talking about Snyder. I haven't. The only other thing I've watched
DC
that he's
movies. Yeah,
done. Sorry, the only thing I've watched that he's done other than that is the Watchmen movie. I don't think I've ever watched another Snyder movie.
I don't think he did 300. Did you see
Okay, never
300?
saw it.
Okay, and I'm trying to think. There's one other I think I've seen. But anyways, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's a little bunny trail tangent there at the end. But no, I'm glad we're back up and running. Season 2, episode 1. Boom.
Oh, we got an email on Hav and Charles Talk Comics yesterday.
What?
It was from you. You sent me screenshots.
Oh yeah, I did. That's right. I got all excited.
You did. I'm like and I could tell it was actually a little real
I know.
because I was like, dude, I hate to burst that bubble. It was you. You sent me an email yesterday.
I did. I sent it to the email address. That was fun. I did get excited.
You're like, yay, we got mail.
We got mail. We
Uh,
got mail. I got mail.
but we do have an email address for the show, and that email is Hav and Charles Talk Comics at gmail.com. It's all written out. Hav and Charles Talk Comics at gmail.com. Not
Yep, and then the Twitter handle where all this can be found and links, I believe, is JNC Talk Comics.
that is correct.
And then I'm Hav Gonzo tweets is my Twitter handle.
Mm-hmm.
And then yours, I always forget yours. It's
At
yeah,
Herring Red Reel.
there you go.
No.
Herring Red Reel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, drop us a line if you have any thoughts or ideas about, hey, maybe something to suggest for us to read so that I get out of my, although
Hey,
I
you
got
don't
some
want to
other
get out of
ideas.
you don't want to get out of this.
I like what I suggested because I
That's
haven't
fine.
read it since back then. And again,
I,
this is one of those things where I'm curious to see.
it might be. I might enjoy. I might enjoy it.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm sure I will enjoy it. I've decided I'm going to enjoy it.
There you go. Well, and thank you everybody for listening. If we're at that point of our podcast,
Yes, we are.
I'm very. I was telling Charles I was really excited about doing this first podcast. I was looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to our future episodes.
Yes, I too am looking forward to our future episodes, and I don't think I had a problem saying episode or issues at any time in this podcast. I'm sure that will not last during this. I even got the name of somebody popped right into my head, which was amazing, although Hav did had to prompt me on other people's names, which is understandable
You're right.
because yeah,
Good job on
yeah,
issues and episodes.
yes.
Nice.
We really it really didn't come up where I could have fucked it up.
That's true. Uh,
All
well,
right.
thank you, everybody.
So thank you very much. We will see you next time, or we'll let you listen to us next time on Hav and Charles Talk Comics. Bye.
Bye.